This may be somewhat of an overdone topic, but there are numerous characters in Garden Warfare 2 that simply don't get enough love. And in this list I'll be ranking 5 plants that are slept on hard, ranging from being overlooked in favour of other variants to being outright disliked. Honourable mention, Bandit Cactus. While this character does suffer from pretty nasty recoil, she has insanely quick kill times and is a massive improvement compared to in GW1 where her ammo count is so low she has to be an aimbot in order to kill an all-star. Also a major omission, Alien Flower. When I first drafted this list, Alien Flower was quite high, but I feel like over time she's built up quite the standard to the point I can't really include her on this. Also, if you watch my favourite characters video, you know how much I love her. I'm GMVS, let's go. First of all is Command OP. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know I'm a big fan of the Chad shooter, and to be fair, considering some of my extremely generous rankings of this guy in the past, this guy would probably belong on a list titled 5 underrated plants that are overrated by GMVS, but this guy doesn't get nearly enough credit. While it seems quite naff in comparison to the base soldier due to his bad damage drop off, this guy is one of the better Ps in the DPS department. He can kill pretty much anything quickly and he's a really good anti-mech character due to his consistent damage, and despite having an accuracy problem at range, it's easy to land shots up close, which is very good for hitting the glass containment of mechs. He is arguably a downgrade of Lorp due to the two characters having strong damage up close but a poor range game, and Law's damage is better, but Commando is a great choice for those who excel with full auto characters, and the Chad shooter is indeed a great character. 4 is Jade Cactus. This is another one of those characters that has a cult fandom that acts like she's OP beyond belief when she really isn't, so I was questioning whether to include her on the list, but I went with it in the end because seeing this character online is like seeing a toxic Citron getting the highest vanquish streak. This character is a jack of all trades in a way, given she has slightly better close range game than most of the characters but has drop off and satisfactory damage. Her explosive shots may not be an ideal clutch but can still be effective, and being an armoured variant is also a nice benefit as she gains more health and the slower speed doesn't hurt her much given she is a ranged character. She is definitely inferior to the other bulky characters and not a top 5 character in my opinion, but massively underappreciated by the GW2 community nonetheless. The next character I'm going to talk about is Power Chomper. I had Count Chompula on here for a while as self-healing is great for Chomper, but I went for Power in the end because he's better than Gothboy and because Gothboy made it into the top tier of a list made by one of the best players in the game. What makes Power good is that he takes care of one of the Chomper's biggest weaknesses, lack of crowd control, so kind of like Yeti Chomper, except he's actually good. First of all, he's a spray Chomper which can actually damage multiple zombies at once given its area effect, and he has chain lightning damage. While his arc damage is only 2, that really adds up, especially if you trigger mash. I wouldn't say he's GW1 Fire Chomper levels of good, but still a pretty solid character that deserves more respect, even though he's a Chomper. And I wish they didn't change his sick purple colour scheme from the original game. Runner-up goes to the gangster himself, Mob Cobb. Look, I get why people don't rate this guy considering he has one of the most pointless gimmicks in the game and it's not enough to justify his lower damage output than the base Kernel Corn, but I think calling him the worst Corn is wrong on so many levels. First of all, regular Corn is such a sick character that by default a slightly weaker version has to be at least pretty good. And secondly, I've always found Mob to be more accurate and comfortable than the regular Corn. And thirdly, Barbecue exists, and I don't even think he's as bad as people say. The gangster is very consistent, his damage drop off doesn't start until quite far away, and he still gets a damage upgrade despite having a penetration one, which replaces ammo, and I'm completely fine with that given his clip size is quite good anyway. Honestly, he's a character with no real weaknesses despite his questionable existence as a variant, and he's pretty much my main on plants. Obviously, I think Party is the undisputed best Corn, with the base one as the runner-up, but third place for Mob is pretty respectable. Yes, I think Mob is better than Commando. And the most underrated plant in Garden Warfare 2 goes to Fireflower. This is probably a pretty surprising and possibly controversial pick, and I definitely wouldn't say this character is underrated in GW1, as you see her absolutely everywhere. Plus fire characters are notoriously busted in that game. Despite the fact I still see Fireflower played quite frequently on GW2, I don't see her get nearly enough praise. Like, this character is practically pre-nerf Barbecue Corn. In fact, I see freaking Jade Cactus get more praise than this character. She hits 9 damage, which is only a slight downgrade from Reg Sunflower, and she has fire, and full auto fire characters by default are just sick. The argument I usually see is, her projectile speed is so slow. I don't know, stop camping like a bitch and actually come out and fight. That argument does make sense for Fire Rose, given that character dies in like half a second if she's not sat at the back. But Fireflower is usable pretty much everywhere, and her lower ammo count has never really been a problem for me either, given I always thought 60 ammo was a bit generous in the first place. I think she's easily a top 3 Sunflower, probably only behind Stuffy and Shadow, and in conclusion, she is my pick for the most underrated plant in Garden Warfare 2.